When you think of the queens of reality TV, a few names come to mind, but the top three are most definitely Tiffany Pollard, Tammy Roman, and last but not least, NeNe Leakes. These three reign supreme in making the Real Housewives of Atlanta what it is today. It was undeniable that NeNe Leakes was destined for great things. She had the larger-than-life personality that made the Real Housewives of Atlanta the success that it is today. Still, it seemed like all that got into her head because she went from being a fan favorite to being a fan's most hated. Today, it seems like NeNe Leakes is not the shining star that she once was, because word on the street is that not only is she unemployed, dare we say it, she's also broke. Like broke. The kind that puts you in debt. But how did NeNe Leakes become broke? And is she really blackballed from the industry? Well, let's get into the video to find out. The Real Housewives of Atlanta's most popular cast still talks about Bravo after all these years, but it seems like Bravo can't even remember the name NeNe Leakes. You can't claim to be a Real Housewives of Atlanta fan and not know NeNe, because according to Andy Cohen, Real Housewives of Atlanta is the house that NeNe Leakes built, and we can't help but agree. But over the years, as we know, something has definitely changed for NeNe. She found success, sure, but it seems like her attitude somehow got in the way of letting the success last. But before we talk about her bad days, let's take a trip down memory lane and talk about NeNe Leakes' good days. When Real Housewives of Atlanta first aired, we saw a first-hand account of the lives of 5 different women in Atlanta. It didn't take long for NeNe Leakes to become the breakout star because she gave everything an excellent reality TV star is supposed to give, like dramatic, unforgettable moments, charisma, and a good shady attitude. It seemed like Bravo had struck gold by casting her in the Real Housewives of Atlanta. She became an instant fan favorite, and because of this, she skyrocketed to the top. Her star power became undeniable, and her impact on housewives can't be duplicated because she put them on the map. NeNe sealed her spot on the reality TV scene and showed that she was a formidable character on the show, and we got one of her most quotable moments.
Close your legs to married men.
Wow, NeNe, is he legally married? You are absolutely.
After that, her fate was sealed as one of the most iconic characters on Bravo because she was not only charismatic and funny, but she was also relatable. She was a living example of how a lot of good can happen if you use your reality TV fame the right way, because at that time, she was in her rich bitch era. But it came to a turning point as to how she was perceived. Fans were really rooting for her because she was doing fantastic. But by season 6 of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, NeNe Leakes was practically fighting with everyone. It became the other wives versus NeNe, and her main nemesis was Kenya Moore.
Kenya is not who I want to be sitting up here talking about. She is not a good person.
But would you say, as a viewer, at least give her a little respect that she's a good villain?
By season 6, the NeNe Leakes everyone had come to love was far gone because she became the villain in the show. And it just seemed like she was bitter with everyone. And it seemed like it was when things began to go downhill for her. She developed a mean girl attitude and a superiority complex, which made her very difficult to work with. Because of that, she didn't think she was the problem. So if anyone tried to talk to her about it, she would lash out. We saw the end of NeNe Leakes in season 12. Because everyone was sick and tired of her at that point. So Bravo let her go because she was no longer the show's star. In fact, she was the one star people prayed would leave. But NeNe, being who she is, didn't go down without a fight. So she sued them for having a racist and hostile work environment. Sure, the environment was kind of racist, but it still seemed like it was a selective outrage and a desperate attempt for revenge.
The goals are to stop discrimination against black women. Stop discrimination. That's just the goal. Nobody want to go to work every day as a black woman with blonde hair and the head of the corporation call you a white woman.
Yeah.
So stop discrimination. That's the goal.
NeNe Leakes filed a lawsuit against NBC Universal, Bravo, True Entertainment, Truly Original, and executive producer Andy in April 2022, citing an unfavorable work environment. The case was initiated in Atlanta, and it didn't last very long as it ended 4 months later. And NeNe thinks the lawsuit is a reason why she hasn't been able to work on anything significant. In a podcast with Bethany Frankel, she said she feels she's being severely punished because of the fact that she sued Bravo. So now she's being blackballed in the industry. What is happening to me right now with these doors closing everywhere? You would think I have drugged, raped, stabbed, and cut somebody. It's funny, cause NeNe seems to forget that she defamed Andy by calling him racist and a cokehead. So I don't think that's a quality future employers would like to see in someone they want to hire. Bethany asked NeNe why she thinks Bravo is the reason she has no job, because NeNe believes she does not follow her misfortune, and that just makes her sound delusional and entitled. She insulted the camera crew. What was she expecting? A pat on the back and a gold star? They shut my work down. I do everything. So you mean to tell me, as a talented person, that there was nothing for me to host? There was nothing for me to act in, sing in, dance in, jump in, clap in? Nothing? They obviously called ABC and EFG. Or maybe she simply has an attitude problem. That's why no one wants to cast her. Still, no. It's probably Bravo's doing. But NeNe making a rape joke when she was doing comedy definitely has nothing to do with her unemployment status. At least NeNe and Bethany can support each other as former wives of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. They might never appear in Bravo, but one thing we can be sure of is that they would most definitely talk about it. Well, things are far from fine for NeNe, because not only is she unemployed, but she's also seriously broke to the extent that she's in debt. Because presently, she's facing lawsuits and legal issues over unpaid rent from her former boutique, Swag. For people who are following up with this story, you would already know that NeNe has been facing unpaid rent claims from the landlord of a now closed fashion boutique. The court documents say that NeNe signed the lease in 2017 and also in 2021, which extended it by a year. She left the spot in January 2022, but before she was supposed to pay the rent balance of $22,900, which she failed to do. The crazy thing was that she was notified about the unpaid balance, but she turned a deaf ear to the warnings, and now she's facing serious legal problems with the courts. Well, we know why she can't pay the rent, because it's been quite a struggle for her to get a job since her time on The Real Housewives of Atlanta. After all, according to her, she's been blackballed in the industry, and as a result, there are no credit alerts anymore. According to Radar Online, NeNe is being taken to court by a group known as MPG's Sugarloaf for the part of the rent she's yet to pay. The ex-reality star has not given any response to her landlord, but she did address her fans about it on her Instagram page. She said that the lease was signed in Greg Leake's name, and as we know, he's not here. This is something fans would have, joked about and turned into memes, but given the circumstances of Greg passing, that just seems insensitive. But is NeNe saying that because the lease was signed in Greg's name, she would not pay the lease? She can't possibly think that, because that just sounds like a joke. She needs to take this seriously because we know what unpaid bills can do to those on Real Housewives. And she's the one complaining about not getting a job since her contract with Real Housewives of Atlanta was terminated. Having unpaid rent and refusing to pay will most definitely not help her secure a job. On the other hand, fans can't help but hope that her interview with Bethany Frankel will help open doors for her to get new roles. It looks like NeNe better do something about her situation, and fast, because you all know how these things go. Before you know it, she'll have the IRS knocking on her door. After all, she wouldn't be able to pay her taxes. But how did Bravo really have a hand in the fact that NeNe hasn't gotten a job in the industry? And how did she go so broke so fast? Well, let me know what you think. Leave your comments below.